have 2 impossible breakfast sandwiches and 1 grande hazelnut oat milk shaken espresso and 1 brown sugar oat milk shaken espresso grande as well. Ooh. Oh, okay. Is it as good?
I think it's better.
I mean, I'll try it. We'll try it. We'll try it. Yes. Kelvin. K. Actually, do twins. Teeth? Yes, twins. Thank you. Maybe we can put it here. Yeah. Yes, of course. Nice to meet you. Okay, like on our table. Yeah, either like on our. Thank you. What's up, beautiful people? We've realized that there's a lot of online discourse about, parents raising twins and the kinds of relationships that they end up having, like, especially when they're older. And I think our parents, not biased or anything, but I think our parents did a great job raising 2 sets of twins. And so maybe we have a little something to say in the matter. So in today's video, we want to talk about 3 things that we feel like our parents did really well, which has led to us having such a good relationship with each other, even while we're older. So the first thing I think they did is they never pinned us against each other. Like, I remember when we were in class 4, and I think this is like the equivalent of 4th grade in the United States. Ish. Roughly.
But I remember when we were in class 4 and I was in A and you were in B.
Yeah.
I would every once in a while I would end up like topping the class.
Alvin was a very good student.
I'm not anymore, but I used to be. I would end up topping the class or like being number 1 in academics, and that kind of stuff gets really celebrated in Ghana. Like, it gets really celebrated in Ghana. But even though I was in A and you were in B, even if you weren't first, it wasn't like a competition. They never got to the point where they were like, you need to do well because your brother is doing well.
Right, there was never this thing where it's like, oh, your brother is doing so well, and so you should too. Or, not that I was doing bad, I wasn't doing bad by any means, but there was never this feeling of, because your brother is this, you have to be the same way. In fact, I think most of that pressure came from other people who would just see that we were twins and then just expect that if one of us was one certain way, the other person had to be that way.
I don't necessarily think that the pressure is like a bad thing in itself, because I feel like as twins, like, we learn from each other. If I'm doing something and I'm doing a good job, you look at that and you're like, oh wow, like, I'm motivated by that. But I guess the best way to say it is that our mom and dad like de-emphasized competition. And so even though there's that natural sort of like competitiveness like between us, like, oh, who can do better, right? But they de-emphasized it, so it didn't become the only thing that our relationship was built off of.
When you won Homecoming King in high school, and I was super happy for Alvin. Like, I mean, homecoming was kind of a big deal in high school. And I have so many people come up to me like, oh my gosh, how do you feel because your brother won and you didn't? And they really made sure to emphasize that point, right? And I would end up telling them that I'm happy my brother won. There was never any feeling of like animosity or jealousy or anything of that sort. And I do think it's widely because when mom and dad were raising us, they never emphasized, as Alvin said, competition between us.
And I think that kind of even leads to the second reason why I think we have such a good relationship now, which was like they always reinforced our unity.
Yeah.
Like, if I was succeeding, it was like we were succeeding. If I was, failing, it was like we were failing. So you were always like helping me get things done. I was always helping you get things done. And whenever I was succeeding, you were also succeeding. And so it never became a thing of like jealousy where like, someone might point it out and be like, oh, this. It was like, well, we're winning together, so I don't see what the problem is.
And they always used that language, at least around us. I don't know what they talked about when they were on their own, but around us, it was always like, if your brother succeeds,
you're succeeding as
Yeah.
well, right? Because if he goes higher, he pulls you along, and if I
Right.
go higher, I pull him along. So there's this concept of unity that you came into the world together,
Yep.
and so everything that you're
You're
doing,
doing, yeah.
right? It's for each other.
It's with each other.
It's with each other,
Yeah.
and he's your biggest help. He's your biggest support, and that's one thing our mom would constantly keep telling us. He's your biggest support. He's your best friend. He's your biggest support, and so we kind of grew up with this mindset of, if I'm moving forward, I'm bringing my brother along with me.
I think in addition to that too, they like celebrated us with each other. You know, like in those situations where like I would get, first or something like that, if there was a celebration for it, you also
was also
partook
part
in
of
that
it.
celebration. It wasn't like, oh, this is Alvin's thing,
Right,
or
right.
And so that culture of like, oh, we celebrate the wins together, we mourn the losses together. I feel like that was a very big part of like our growing up, like as well. I guess the other thing that I can kind of think about that I feel like they did really well was they never showed favoritism. Now I'm not saying that they didn't have it, I know that
Right.
at certain points, maybe I was a little bit more difficult to deal with than Kelvin was.
I was a good kid.
But they never showed it. And especially in the way they talked to us. There was never the language of like, why are you like this? Why aren't you more like this? You know?
They did it
Yeah.
from the ground up. Like
Yeah.
even when they were feeding us, like our mom would give us bowls of food when we were younger for dinner or whatever. And even while doing that, like if there was like, I don't know, a chicken thigh on the rice or something of that sort, she'd make sure that she picked something that looked alike for both of us, so that neither one of us ever felt at any point in time that my mom or my dad prefers my brother to myself.
Right.
So there was never any idea of, oh, mom likes this person better than me, or mom doesn't like me as much
Right.
as she likes this person, dad doesn't like me as much as he likes this person.
I even feel like they took it a step too far and disciplined us together to show that there was no favoritism. Like I remember this one sequence where Kelvin and I had gone out to play football, soccer in the United States, and where we lived, there was this like reddish clay, and that's
Red
just
clay.
what like the earth was. It was like red clay. So take like normal clay that's brown as you know it, increase the saturation a little bit, and you have red clay. And I don't know what was like going on with the weather. I don't remember clearly, but it seemed like it was a day where like it probably wasn't the best idea to go and play soccer.
Yeah.
But Kelvin and I like stepped out, and we were out for a very long time. Like we were late
From, like, noon
coming
till
home
dark or
to the
something like
point
that.
that like mom had like come back home and we weren't at home. And I think she had specifically maybe told us not to go, but we did so anyway because that's just what boys do. And we came back home very late. It was probably one of our ideas. Like maybe it was Kelvin's idea or it was my idea. Because
remember that
we always
part.
have the good cop, bad cop thing going on where one of us will have a bad idea and then the other one will be like, I think it's a bad idea, but you're like, no, it'll be fine. And so it was probably one of our ideas, but we both got severely disciplined as a result of our disobedience.
If you grew up in Africa, you know exactly what we're talking
Yes,
about.
like severely disciplined to the point that it didn't happen again. But that was the idea though, right? There were no favorites among us, and so even if it was Kelvin's idea, I got punished too, just so that it's reinforced that if he's making a mistake while you're around,
You should
you're
be
also
stopping
at fault. Yeah, you should be stopping him. You're also at fault.
Our parents would never use the language of, why can't you be like this, or why can't you do like he does, or anything of that sort. I think they just recognized our individuality, but at the same time, they made us understand that being twins was a very special thing.
Yeah.
It was a very unique thing because not everyone had that kind
Yeah,
of
and it was like
experience.
it was a gift, a gift to be cherished and nurtured,
And nurtured.
rather than to be like disdained and
Yeah.
pushed away.
Yeah, which I
Yeah.
think was a pretty big deal to us.
Yeah.
And it still is.
Yeah. One of the things I keep seeing here in like the United States is like a lot of the twins that we meet are very like they almost want to get away from each other. It's like, oh, I know you look like me. Oh, everyone has associated us together all our lives. Like I just want to be on my own. I just want to do my own thing. It doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah, almost like being twins hurts their sense of
Individuality.
for some reason, and that doesn't necessarily have to be true.
Yeah.
And our parents showed us that, just simply by raising your kids and helping them understand that how they were born is unique, it is special, and it is a gift to be cherished, made such a huge difference toward that. Because we could still be ourselves. Like, I could still be Kelvin, Alvin is still Alvin, and we'll always be different in that way. But we are still identical twins, and there is absolutely nothing wrong with living like we're identical twins.
Ready? Yeah, ready. Hey, you don't want this anymore.
As I do.
Thank you guys so much. Have a good day.
Thank you guys for watching this video. We really appreciate it. Make sure to leave a like and a comment if you found this very interesting. Also, make sure to turn on your notifications so that you can be notified whenever a new video is released. If you haven't already smashed that subscribe button, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
What are you waiting for? Love you guys. Peace.
Peace.